The only evidence left of that evening to acknowledge the chaotic crime scene inside were the remnants of the front porch pumpkin. It had been obliterated into a smashed mess, complete with traces of blood from the axe used during the attack. The victims' wounds told the story of how the dense blade entered their flesh. Even with the realization of the terror that unfolded, why something so gruesome on such a sleepy Halloween night? Theories emerged that the couple was taken by surprise, a crime of passion. Did they know their killer? October 2020 would be a unique year. Fall rolled in with just about as much force as the worldwide virus that was running rampant. There would be no trick-or-treaters and no giggling children walking the sidewalk. Yes, that year was set to be filled with overcast skies, crisp fall air, and trepidation. No one, however, especially me, would predict actual bloodshed. There was one activity still doable despite isolation: pumpkin carving. Of course, there wouldn't be the typical pumpkin patch adventure due to social distancing, but pumpkins would still be available at our local grocery stores. I had fond memories of selecting the perfect one every year as a child, and I wasn't about to stop the tradition. It was a safe way to celebrate. In fact, it seemed the whole neighborhood felt the same way that I did. Pumpkins of various shapes and sizes lined the doorsteps of nearly everyone. Some carvings were stereotypical, and others were more intricate designs. A particular pumpkin caught my eye driving home one evening. It was enormous, which made seeing the menacing face that much easier. The evil grin was horrifyingly large and filled with at least a couple dozen pointy, sharp teeth. Its eyes almost dared me to step foot onto the porch. Suddenly, the door flew open and I spied a young couple leaving somewhere. What a wonderful life they must have, I thought to myself. They had a beautiful home and a seemingly loving relationship, all probably filled with wonderful activities, just like the pumpkin that they most likely carved together. I myself, being in my early 30s and living in a tiny apartment, chose my career over everything, including a relationship. I worked my way to achieve a degree in psychology, which didn't allow for much of anything else. However, the stress of the pandemic forced me to rethink my career choice. I drove by often, catching glimpses of the couple and their picturesque life, playfully jumping into piles of leaves, playing fetch with their adorable dog, and decorating the porch for what would be a non-existent holiday. It was bittersweet, but it brightened my days knowing that love like that still existed. That's why, when I bumped into him a week later, picking out yet another pumpkin, I couldn't help but introduce myself through some muffled speech of my masked face, a requirement of the ongoing pandemic. Small talk ensued, exchange of basic information, and eventually an invite to a picnic with him and his wife. There's no reason why we can't be socially distant and cautious while still engaging in some get-togethers. Plus, we live alone, and everyone needs friends during such a rough time, he stated. I was very excited because he didn't realize just how true those words were to me. I didn't have many friends who lived close, and the social protocols both made me stressed and lonely. The gathering took place in a park nearby, and we enjoyed some lovely wine. The typical friend request swaps on social media and bantering giggles followed what ended up being a wonderful afternoon. Then, something startling happened. A week later, he texted me, "Nothing is certain anymore, and I can't stop thinking about you." Despite every fiber in my being warning me to ignore, I couldn't resist the urge to text him back, and sadly/admittedly, I couldn't stop texting him at all. For weeks, we exchanged steamy words and fantasizing scenarios. That is, until we entered a full-blown affair. How did I get here? Halloween night. Murder was on the agenda. I drove straight to his house from work, knowing the wifey would be staying with her parents for a few days, as her father was needing more assistance in his older age. This meant 3 days of bliss with my love. The garage was already open for me, so I parked inside as the doors quickly lowered behind me. Whining, dining, and romanticizing ensued. He decided to retrieve some wood so we could enjoy a fire. I dozed off on the luxurious king-sized bed, and I woke up to a few loud thumps. I raced downstairs. It was a bloodbath. An absolute nightmare. She stood there with an axe in hand, the very axe used to chop wood for the fireplace. Blood splattered everywhere, hovering over her husband's lifeless body. The wounds were jagged and deep as the blood pool grew in diameter. "I knew something was happening between you two," she boldly said. Frozen in my fear, with my eyes shifting back and forth, his body and the axe-wielding wife. My thoughts were interrupted by Spike, the couple's dog. He barreled in through the dog door, barking, and proceeded to lick my love's wounds. My survival was imminent, but my empathic instincts kicked in, and I dove towards his wrist to check for a pulse. "I always loved this time of year," I heard her mutter as the axe drug across the floor. I felt its blade plunge into my skull before everything went black. So, this is me telling you my story from beyond the grave. Watching her express her anger on our deceased souls, along with destroying the pumpkin on the porch, my spirit clung to earth. Choices result in consequences, and my eternity will be a reminder that I selected the wrong one. Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.